Hey YouTube, it's Faye, and for today's video, I'm going to do a little wiring demonstration. So earlier today, I just replaced the female connector for my camshaft position sensor. I actually converted from a regular camshaft position sensor, the stock 7M GTE one, to a digital Hall effect sensor made by Drift Motion. And one of the things that he always says is when you do this conversion, you have to replace the pigtail connector because they deteriorate over time. They're in an area with a lot of heat. Those connectors and the pins sort of lose structural integrity over time, and you can get some sort of messy signals going on. So in order for it to work properly, replace that. So I'm going to show you what I did and how that looks like. And then also, I'm going to do the exact same thing on my coil pack connector, which is the same connector. So I'm going to demonstrate what I did with something that I've got to do. And then of course, I'm also going to show you all the parts that I used, all the tools that I used, where you can find these things. You know, these are actually still readily available, all these little pins and everything. And yeah, all these random little tools that I used to get the job done. So, all right, hope you enjoy it. Hope you learned something. Let's get into it. So here you can see the one that I've already done. All the wires were so beautiful. Everything was so nice. So next to my former female connector, that was just not gonna do. Look, this little tab is broken off. This is a little note that I made to myself. And this one you can see is about to be gone. I've also got a crack right there in this wire, so there's just a whole bunch of not good going on. A couple things I want to note here real quick. First of all, you're probably thinking, wait a second, Faye, I know human anatomy, that is not the female connector. Yes, it is. The pins inside, this little guy is an example, or gal, shall I say, this is the female terminal, and these go into the female connector. I know, just bear with me. Just bear with me, people. And then also note the way that I cut this off. Now, I'm routing my CPS wiring a little bit differently than it normally is, so that gave me a little bit of extra wire that I could work with, so I was able to clip them off like so. I not only like to clip them off like so and just save this because I have a hard time throwing away anything, and yes, I am actually going to save this. It's also kind of a good practice for me so that I can, practice taking the pins in and out as I was learning. I definitely saved a lot of these little connectors. And then also so that I have the diagram right here of where all the wire colors go in relation to the connector. So a whole bunch of reasons. But now I've got a whole bunch of reasons to get rid of that for now. But like I said, I have really hard time letting things go. Now, in the case of if you don't have any sort of wire breakage or anything like I did, you can also just replace the connector housing portion. And so you can just depin this connector, repin in this connector, because over time these things just get a little bit loose and there's some corrosion in there. However, like I said, there was no saving mine at all. So I opted for the full shebang. I got a couple of these connector housings, all the appropriate little rubber fellas, the rubber insulators, and then the pins. So let's go. I'm going to show you how I did this one by showing you how I do my coil pack one. Now, another thing I want to note as well is that you can see that I put some clear heat shrink here because I was starting to lose, there was some unraveling happening and this little shielding was coming up. It's really important to keep that there because that reduces noise and interference, especially with the way that I'm routing mine. It's going to be right near my coils. There's a whole bunch of potential for interference. So you never want to go ahead and strip all of this back to make it, I don't know why you would do that anyway, but you don't want to because you can get some unwanted noise. Parts you're going to need to do this job. Here's the connector housing. And there is the part number from the Toyota dealership. Now from here, all you have to tell the dealership then is that you also want the correct pins and your little rubber insulators. I actually got all these from Drift Motion, so I'm just going to link them in the description below. You can also get just the pigtails themselves if you don't have the tools to crimp these on. We'll go over the tools next. So you're also going to want some really high quality wire if you do need to extend your wire or anything like that. I actually have a whole nother harness that I was thinking originally that I was going to run my camshaft position sensor wiring like underneath the engine and across, in which case I would have to lengthen all the wires. And so I actually ended up buying another used harness so that I could just extend the wires with the exact factory shielding that I needed and the wires and have the same color and quality and everything like that. But then I'm going to run it on top of the engine and obviously protect it from heat. I've got some, where is it? Oh yeah, like this, this style insulation maybe putting in there, and then I'm gonna make a cover so you're not gonna see how ugly it looks. Although it doesn't look ugly, but super high quality wire in the same gauge if you're gonna be extending, if you need to sort of cut back a little bit more of the wire until you can find a clean spot for splicing. Which thankfully I only had to do a little bit on mine. Up here on the top of my engine, you can see that I just got done wiring in my coil packs. Yes, I've got the IS300 coil packs and everyone's ready to go. And I've got this beautiful harness and this beautiful new connector. Once again, just like my camshaft position sensor. This, oh my gosh, these two did not match. And once again, here is the female end. And you can see that it's not doing too hot at all. Look at that poor little thing. I already removed one of these pins and that one was cracked and broken. And then you can see the exposed wire here. This is the power supply. So not really good to have that wire exposed. And then one of the, yeah, this little yellow fella right here has a massive crack in it. So corrosion can get in there and all sorts of stuff. At least this one wasn't all the way broken. But first things first, let's just talk about removing these pins. This style of connector is, oh my gosh, so awesome, so easy to use. And let's say that all of these are good, but our connector housing itself is broken. So here's our old, here's our new. I mean, I know it looks a little bit different. This just pops in when we're done. I'll show you that in a second. But if we look on the back side of these, those little teeny tiny plastic tabs are what hold these little pins in place. So all we need to do is lift up on those little plastic tabs, which just be careful, they're super brittle, in order to release those pins. So now I'm gonna try to do that on camera. And you can do that with just a regular little pick tool. You can also use one of these little de-pinning tools. I just got like a whole set of these on Amazon and I will link those below as well. I'm just gonna make sure that that terminal is pushed all the way forward to give myself a little bit of room. So I'm pushing on that. And then I'm going to insert my little pick tool into the top part right here. And I'm gonna lift up on that plastic tab. So I'm lifting up on the plastic part, I'm not touching the metal. So there's our little female part. Oh, so cute. And see that little hollow there, right there? That little hollow is what that little plastic tab is holding onto that keeps it inside of the little connector housing. Now that this part is empty, you can once again see that teeny tiny little plastic tab right there that I pushed in order to pull our little terminal out. Also, if you're not familiar with these and you don't know the orientation of everything, it's also helpful to disassemble your old one and take a look and see how we're gonna put everything back together. Here we have our terminals on their little rails, so I will clip off one at a time. I love that they're stored like this, so I am less likely to lose them. All right, here we have one terminal ready to go. And here I have 3 of the 4 wires prepped, and I cut them far enough back from the connector to remove any of that damaged or broken shielding. I just want to eliminate all those problems. This black and orange wire is the main power to the coils. After cutting the wires to length, I will then install the seal before I remove any shielding so that I don't damage the rubber. All right, time to crimp on our terminal. This does require a special tool, and I will link some good options in the description below. But this one I bought at a local electronics supply store in San Antonio called Intertex Electronics. And oh my gosh, if you like wiring and wiring supplies, they have like a million colors of heat shrink and circuit boards and switches and all sorts of stuff. It's amazing. I just go. Anyways, okay, this tool, it has different dies on both sides, and I'll show you how they both work. But basically, one side is for crimping the terminal to the conductor, and the other side is for crimping the rubber seal. To crimp the wire to the terminal end, I like to start by placing the terminal into the tool. This is also how I gauge the size crimp that I need. And once it's secure in there, I place the wire inside the terminal until that little section of exposed wire is lined up with the terminal crimp area. The shielded portion is under the secondary set of prongs, and then there should be no wire at all poking into the terminal section because this could interfere with pin insertion when you clip the 2 connector housings together. Now I usually like to give a little tug on the end of the terminal to make sure that it has a decent grip and it won't come undone in normal use. But for some reason I skipped that step here, or I just didn't film it, I can't remember. Then slide that little rubber seal up into those 2 lower prongs and gently bend down those 2 tabs to hug that seal in place. You don't want to squish these down too tight because these little seals are kind of easy to puncture actually. Now the crimp tool that I'm using has provisions for the seal crimp as well. And I do use it, but I actually prefer using these little needle nose pliers because I feel like I have more control over the end result. And, you know, I'm a control freak. The two tabs on top of the terminal itself sort of give away the orientation of how the pins slide into the connector housing. And also when you look inside of the connector housing, you can almost kind of see where those little tabs slide into. And I'm doing one final review of my old and my new housing to ensure that I'm placing the wire in the proper location. And I also do have the entire factory electrical wiring diagram for this car. It's actually available digitally as well, so I'll just link that in the description below in case y'all want to reference it for any other A70 connector needs. And now I'm pretty much just gonna lather, rinse, and repeat for the other three. Once all 4 wires are installed, I'll do a little wiggle test. Basically pull on every single wire individually to make sure that they are firmly inserted into the connector housing, but you should hear a satisfying click when the pins are captured by their little housing tabs. I'll then verify the location by wires one last time before snapping the retainer down onto the front face of the terminals, and then connecting the 2 sections of harness together to complete this job. And also, yes, I will be wrapping and protecting this section of wiring from heat, as well as potential rubbing and vibration, so don't worry, this is not the final location of this wire harness. And that's it. Pretty straightforward, right? So now I've just got my knock sensors to do, and then I'm gonna wire in my new igniter. So, all right, wish me luck. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope it made you happy. Hope it brightened your spirits. And most importantly, hope it made you feel like you could do it too. All right, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Hi, Abby! Sweetheart. She makes the cutest sounds, doesn't she? Yeah. Hi, Fern. Hi, Abby. Eat that grass. Eat that grass.